How do you smear a guy as unpatriotic without smearing him as unpatriotic? Well, you claim he loves something else more than his country. Our fourth story tonight, the McCain campaign debuts its anti-Obama strategy. Obama puts himself first, partisanship, and party first over country. The McCain camp memo going out yesterday with the heading, Country First versus Self-Serving Partisanship. So who got the memo? Self-serving partisan Karl Rove yesterday wrote that McCain wins in the battle over putting principle above ambition. Rove, who put country about 14th when he revealed the name of a CIA operative. Then there's Kansas Republican Senator Sam Brownback, the former presidential candidate, pushing McCain's new theme on a campaign conference call yesterday.
I think the biggest thing really I see in Barack Obama is a willingness and aggressiveness to talk bipartisan, and yet to vote and be hard left, most liberal member in the United States Senate.
Obama talks bipartisan, but when it comes down to it, he votes hard left. From obama.senate.gov, December 16, 2005, Obama, Brownback, Durbin, and DeWine, another Republican, introduced comprehensive legislation on the Congo. From brownback.senate.gov, May 3, 2006, Brownback worked with Senators Robert Menendez and Barack Obama to pass the amendment. And October 26, 2007, Senator Brownback and Senator Barack Obama introduced the Iranian Sanctions Enabling Act. USA Today, May 18th last year, Obama and Brownback together on another issue. The Washington Post, December 27, 2005, forget the headline, by Barack Obama and Sam Brownback. And when it comes to McCain's supposed status as a maverick, which Senator Brownback also pushed yesterday, one final headline from an exhaustive survey of McCain's voting record from 1999 on, conducted by the Arizona Republic newspaper. May 7, 2008. In tight Senate votes, McCain not a maverick. When it matters most, he seldom bucks his own party. Let's turn now to the Washington editor for The Nation magazine, Chris Hayes. Chris, thanks for your time again tonight.
Thank you, Keith.
All right, out of 56 Obama bills that had co-sponsors, 18 had only Democratic co-sponsors, 38 had at least one Republican co-sponsor. Is this McCain line of inquiry going to get anywhere?
I don't think it is, and I think there's a few reasons. One of them is that I don't think people really seek out bipartisanship as an end in of itself, but as a means to an end. You know, I had a colleague named David Sirota who wrote a column once, and he said, look, if Republicans and Democrats, get together and they help an old lady across the street, that's good bipartisanship. If they're driving a van that runs her over, that's bad bipartisanship, right? I mean, the Iraq War was bipartisan. The Patriot Act was bipartisan. So bipartisanship is a real fetish of people in Washington, but I think voters want things. They want an end to the war, they want a safer economy, or maybe they want conservative things, but bipartisanship in and of itself isn't necessarily what they're seeking. Also, without questioning McCain's patriotism, but as a member of the Keating Five who embraced Falwell and embraced Robertson after they blamed America for 9/11, does it really make sense for McCain to try to run as the guy who never puts politics above principle? I don't think it does, and actually, it in some senses cements the kind of irony and tragedy of the John McCain presidential campaign, which is that he's done exactly that. He's sold out his principles for his ambition. I mean, take immigration reform, right? They're on the phone yesterday in their conference call talking about McCain bucking his party, which he did, and bucking the conservative wing of his party on immigration reform. But as the primary went on, he completely walked away from the policy, in fact saying that he, wouldn't vote for his own bill. And then he was, speaking to some Hispanic leaders in Chicago saying he was going to bring immigration reform. So McCain has done exactly the thing which he's now accusing Barack Obama, which is putting his own ambition to be president above these kind of independent principles that he used to have. And how does the Obamas always on the left thing jibe with Obama's support of the latest FISA bill, which is continuing to honk off a lot of his own supporters? It doesn't jibe well. It's kind of ironic that in the 2 weeks that Obama has really been putting his kind of centrist foot forward, that's when the McCain campaign has chosen to come out with this Obama is a hard left message. And saying as someone who's sort of proudly a member of the hard left, I think it's a little absurd to call Obama hard left. I mean, if you look at what he's been doing these last few weeks, particularly on the FISA bill, on the two statements he released in the wake of the Supreme Court decisions, there's no way that you can classify him as this sort of aggressive liberal, and I don't think he comes off as one, which I think is what kind of bedevils the Republicans so much. And lastly here, Politico.com reported today that the official Republican strategy for House candidates
run as anything but a Republican. Run as an independent, go as a socialist, a vegan, a Wiccan, whatever you think of that doesn't say Republican. Is that part of this, to distance McCain from the Republican brand without going that far?
That's exactly what it is. I mean, bipartisan sounds a lot better than Republican at this point. I mean, look, if you ask voters in polling, are you going to vote for a generic Democrat or Republican in the presidential race? The generic Democrat wins by about 10 or 12 points. What you're going to see happen down the stretch, and we're already seeing happen, is from the Obama perspective, they're basically trying to turn Obama into a generic Democrat because it's such a strong Democratic year. They want to kind of move him right into the kind of middle sweet spot for that generic Democrat. On the Republican side, they're trying to do the opposite. They're running as far as they can from the Republican label, and that's why bipartisan has this kind of nice sound to it, and you don't have to talk about what party you're actually from.
Right. He just happens to be a Republican.
That's right.
Like he had a tattoo somewhere from years ago. Chris Hayes, Washington editor of The Nation. Great thanks. Have a good weekend.
Thanks a lot, Keith.